Hi, welcome to episode 3 of In the Air Tonight. In the Air Tonight is some Balkan Mixture by Gawith and Hoggarth. Now, I believe this tin is black now, but I purchased so much of it back in 2019. In fact, I think I smoked almost half a pound of it in 1 year. And it was pretty much all I smoked. And I smoked a lot of bowls of it over and over again. I just could not get enough of it. And back then it was green. Now I buy it in bulk, so I'm not really sure what the tins look like. I think the shape might have changed, and I also think that they are a blacker tin. And I am smoking this out of a beautiful Ardor pipe here. Very cool. Now, I've smoked countless bowls of Balkan Mixture, and I'll tell you why. Back in the day, I used to be able to get Balkan Sobrini pretty regularly, and now I can't. I grab it whenever I can. It's an excellent Balkan blend. First of all, what is a Balkan blend? For those of you who don't know, I don't either. I'm just kidding. It's complicated, but the best explanation I've gotten is that a Balkan blend is like an English blend, except it has a little bit more Turkish tobacco than and Orientals than Latakia. Then people say that this is an exemplary Balkan blend and that this is, a very classic Balkan blend. But for me, I taste a lot more Latakia than any Orientals in this. So I'm not sure if it even is Balkan blend. And like a lot of these pipe tobacco classifications, the more you look into it, the less you know. But I do know that I've got random jars and tins of this stuff stuffed around my house because I love it so much. Sometimes I'd even just rip off a little bit of the tin and stick it to the side of a mason jar, and that's enough for me to know when I see that British Racing Green what's inside. And I love to break this blend out every year at the beginning of hunting season. Tomorrow I'm going out for some grouse. This is a Browning Auto 5 that has been passed down. I'm the third generation to own it, and I still shoot it all the time. Shoot turkeys for Thanksgiving, shoot ducks, and tomorrow I'm going to be shooting some grouse out here in Idaho. And when hunting season starts, those days get a little cooler, upper 60s to mid 70s here in Idaho. And the mornings are a little bit chillier, and I just like to sort of dive into some English blends and some things that have some Latakia in them. After a long hiatus of smoking mostly Virginia blends during the summer months. Let me light this back up. Now, if you don't mind, I will take a look at my notes here. I know a blend that I've smoked so much and I have to refer back to notes, but sometimes that's the way it goes. You smoke something so much you don't even think about it too much anymore. So I tried to reflect on some things that I like about this blend and some things that I notice. When I first open up a tin of this stuff or a bag, I'm hit with Latakia. Very Latakia forward, out of the bag or out of a tin. These are my kids jumping around up there. But when I start to light it up, I get this pleasant, sweet Virginia that's sort of in the background there. And it is absolutely wonderful. The Latakia is very creamy, and it coats the entire mouth. And it is just, this reminds me a little bit of some other blends that I like to smoke too. It's been compared to Margate by Esoterica, and I could see that a little bit. Of course, it was made to be, well, the rumor has it that it's one of those many copycats of Balkan Sobriety. And I could see that too. But behind the leathery, creamy Latakia and the sweet Virginias lingers a specter, a ghost, a hoodoo, the ghost of Lakeland. I'm not sure if they purposefully make this blend slightly Lakelandy. And when I really try and focus on it, it disappears. Much like a ghost. But when I sit back and relax and let my mind wander, I taste it. So I'm constantly chasing that dragon, trying to find that slight Lakelandy flavor. I'm smoking this a little too hot now, so let me just let it cool down. Because if I smoke it too hot, it's just going to taste like a regular English blend. Which it is, but it also isn't. Yeah. For those of you who are unaware of Lakelands, it's a flavor that is very British. Some Americans don't like it. Accuse it of smelling and tasting like the soap section of Bed Bath & Beyond. I think that's a little too harsh. For me, it tastes like pine. And incense. Boy, is it good. Strength level, I'd give this a solid medium. I say that because I don't think the nick hit is super high, but the flavor, I'd say, is a medium, certainly medium full bodied flavor. After I smoke this blend, I feel like I ate a Thanksgiving dinner. Coats the mouth, somehow fills the stomach. And it's a good nightcap blend for me. That being said, I've smoked many bowls of this. When I lived in Chicago briefly, there was a bar, and I'm not going to say the name of it because I'm not sure that it was legal. Not too far from where I worked. always have a pipe cleaner handy before you start these things. And they allowed people to smoke inside the bar. Actually, I don't know if they allowed it. Well, they allowed it, but they had a big sign that said no smoking, and you walk in there and realize that they sell cigarettes behind the bar and everybody's smoking in there. And I would go there after work on a Friday. This was before I was married. And at the place I had to work at, I always had to wear a suit, which I thought was rather annoying because it gets pretty hot and humid in Chicago. But once it finally started to cool down a little bit, I'd go to this bar that would always play Frank Sinatra music. And the guys behind the bar looked like they were straight out of The Sopranos. And I'd break out my pipe. I'd have a scotch. And I would light up 1, 2, sometimes even up to 5 bowls of this Balkan mixture. Couldn't get enough of the stuff. Again, this was maybe 2019, right before COVID. And I remember this poor old guy behind the bar, this old Italian guy, would complain multiple times and say, "Buddy, you're freaking smoking me out over here." Because I'd be just puffing this Balkan mixture, drinking a scotch, and reading a book. Probably look like a total hipster. And I'd keep, as I think I was reading The Count of Monte Cristo at the time. And I was so into this book that I would inevitably just start like puffing really hard on this tobacco and just like a chimney. And this, blowing it right over the bar. And this guy working in a bar where people are smoking cigarettes and all this stuff, I guess he got used to that. And even I think he said he got used to the cigar smoke. But this Balkan mixture bothered him. So based off of his feedback, I wouldn't say that it has a particularly tolerable room note. Your mileage may vary. But he certainly was not a fan. Then COVID happened. I moved to Idaho. And when I got that godforsaken cold for the first time, it absolutely fried my taste buds and my sense of smell. And then by the time I got it back, I was not super into the taste of Latakia anymore. It was a freaking tragedy. Because I was an English blend guy. And I got into Virginias and Vapors and Burleys, but fell madly in love with Virginias. Then around 2023, I broke this stuff out before hunting. I'm driving around with my buddy Tyler. If you ever see this, Tyler, shout out. Who's a great hunter. And we're heading to a spot where we're going to hunt turkeys. and we're both smoking our pipes, listening to Christmas music in his truck. And we both shot a big turkey that day. And that was one of those days where everything just came together. All the ingredients came together, and the souffle rose. And then I was back into smoking English blends and Latakia Balkan blends. So that's the story of my love affair with Balkan Mixture. It'll always be in my rotation. And it feels pretty darn good to break it out and start smoking it again this year. Anyway, thanks for joining me, gentlemen, for In the Air tonight. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you've stuck with me, I apologize for all the stomping around upstairs. My kids had a little bit of chocolate cake and are going absolutely buck wild up there. But I'm going to wrap up this bowl, get up there, and help put them to bed. Good night. Cheers. And I'll see you when I'm looking at you.